Arrivederci.
At the end of the Pope's Angelus, a chant broke out among the crowd. These people were behind it. There were between 100 and 200 Cubans who had arrived from different countries in Europe to protest against the dictatorship, repression, and political prisoners in Cuba. Following protocol, the police did not allow the political protesters into St. Peter's Square for the Pope's Angelus. And those who did make it into the square had their flags confiscated. The demonstrators lay on the ground in support of the more than 500 Cubans who were arrested following the protests in July.
La canción que se renueva de tiempo en tiempo y que todo lo embellece.
The Vatican opposes violent repression and the suppression of freedom in Cuba and everywhere else, but it is nonetheless forbidden to use St. Peter's Square for political protests. The last time the Pope spoke about the situation in Cuba was in July during the protests.
Sono anche vicino al caro popolo cubano in questi momenti difficili, in particolare alle famiglie che maggiormente ne soffrono. Prego il Signore che lo aiuti a costruire in pace, dialogo e solidarietà una società sempre più giusta e fraterna.
Since the end of August, groups of Cubans with Cuban flags have been attending some of the Pope's public events. The Cuban people are dying because we lack freedom. We come here every Wednesday and Sunday to ask for mercy and for him to intercede for the Cuban people. Support for our people who are dying. The Cuban opposition is rallying people on the island for another wave of protests on November 15th. But the Cuban government has prohibited them and called them illegal.